They say every Japanese school hides a story too terrifying to be written in textbooks. A room sealed away, a place where teachers refuse to enter, and where students whisper that anyone who steps inside will never return. Tonight, I will tell you the legend of a classroom that still exists in Tokyo, locked behind a wall, but not forgotten. And if you ever hear the sound of laughter echoing in an empty hallway, don't turn around. In every country, schools are places of learning, laughter, and childhood memories. But they are also places where countless footsteps echo for decades, where emotions, joy, sorrow, anger leave invisible stains on the walls. In Japan, many schools carry ghost stories, whispered from one generation of students to the next. This is the story of one such school, a real place that still stands, though most people would never guess the horror sealed within its walls. To protect the innocent, I will not name it, but if you listen closely, you may find its details disturbingly familiar. It began with a rumor, passed around by students in hushed tones during lunch breaks. They said there was a classroom on the third floor that no one used anymore. Its windows were shuttered, its desks covered in dust. Teachers never mentioned it, and when asked, they grew uneasy. But the students insisted if you opened the door at night, you would hear voices, children's voices, chanting something unintelligible. Sometimes, if you pressed your ear against the door, you would hear scratching from inside, as though nails dragged slowly across the wood. They called it the cursed classroom. Most students treated it as just another ghost story, like Hanako-san of the toilet or the piano that plays by itself in the music room. But a few were curious, eager to prove their bravery. Among them was a boy named Kenta. He was popular, athletic, always trying to impress others. One summer evening after club activities, he challenged his friends. They would sneak back into the school at night and spend time in the cursed classroom. Whoever lasted the longest would be the bravest. His friends laughed nervously, but none wanted to look cowardly, so they agreed. The night came. The boys climbed the fence and crept into the darkened school. Their flashlights flickered as they made their way through the silent halls. The building, so lively during the day, felt alien at night. Their footsteps echoed too loudly, and every creak of the floorboards made their hearts jump. Still, they laughed to keep their courage up, until they reached the third floor. The air grew colder there. The hallway lights buzzed faintly, though no electricity should have been on. At the end of the corridor stood the classroom door, taped shut with old, yellowing paper charms. Kenta grinned, tore them down, and slid the door open. Inside, the room smelled of mildew and dust. The desks were scattered, some overturned, as if abandoned in a hurry. Cobwebs hung from the corners. The chalkboard was still covered with faint writing, lessons from decades ago. The boys stepped inside, their flashlights casting long, quivering shadows. For a moment, nothing happened. They joked, daring each other to sit at the desks. One boy picked up a notebook left behind, only to find every page scribbled with the same phrase, "Let us out, let us out, let us out." The laughter died. Then, faintly, they heard the sound of children giggling. It came from the back of the room, though no one was there. One boy swore he felt a hand tug on his shirt. Another said he saw a figure sitting in the corner desk, watching them with hollow eyes. Their courage crumbled. "Let's get out," one whispered. But Kenta shook his head, determined to prove he wasn't afraid. He strode to the teacher's desk and slammed his hand down. "Show yourself," he shouted. Silence. Then, slowly, the chalk on the board began to move. Letters formed. "One by one you stay," the boys screamed. They bolted for the door, but Kenta froze, staring at the message. Behind him, the giggling grew louder, closer. His friends dragged him out, slamming the door shut behind them. They didn't stop running until they were outside the school gates, gasping for breath. The next day, Kenta didn't come to school. His friends assumed he was shaken, embarrassed. But then a teacher announced that Kenta was missing. His parents had not seen him since the night before. The boys kept silent, too terrified to confess what they had done. Police searched everywhere, but Kenta was never found. His seat in class remained empty, his textbooks untouched. The school eventually covered up the incident, calling it a runaway case, but his friends knew the truth. Kenta had never left the cursed classroom. From then on, the room was permanently sealed. The school even built a new wall over the door, erasing its existence. Yet students still whispered about it. They said that if you walked the third floor hallway at night, you can hear banging from behind the wall. Some claim to hear Kenta's voice calling their names. Others say his shadow still sits in the classroom during roll call. though no one else can see it. Teachers avoid the topic, but their pale faces betray them. They know the truth. That classroom holds more than one spirit now. It holds Kenta as well. The origin of the curse remains a mystery. Some say decades ago, during the war, the school was used as a makeshift hospital. The cursed classroom was where children, wounded in bombings, were taken, only to die one by one. Their restless souls remained, angry and forgotten. Others believe a teacher once committed suicide there. After being accused of cruelty, his rage seeped into the walls, infecting the room. Whatever the cause, the result is the same: the classroom hungers for more. Once you enter, a part of you never leaves. Over the years, more disappearances were whispered about. A janitor who worked late one night never went home. A transfer student who loved exploring old buildings vanished during a dare. Each time, the school erased records, silenced rumors, and continued as if nothing happened. But those who know, know, and the third floor grows colder each year. Some investigators tried to capture proof. One paranormal group snuck in, with cameras, determined to film the cursed classroom. Their video was uploaded online, but viewers noticed strange distortions, faces flickering in the static, whispers beneath the audio. Halfway through, one cameraman begins to scream, dropping the device. The last frame shows a child's pale hand, reaching across the lens before the screen cuts to black. The group never released another video. They disbanded soon after, refusing to talk about what happened. Even now, if you ask alumni of the school, they will hesitate, glance around nervously, and then admit that yes, there was a room like that. They will tell you to never go there. They will say the school has since renovated, turning the third floor into offices. But late at night, lights still flicker in the sealed classroom, and if you pass by, you might hear faint laughter, or a boy's voice calling out from the darkness. If you are foolish enough to answer, you may find yourself drawn to the door that no longer exists, and when you look back, you may realize your shadow is missing, still trapped inside. The cursed classroom waits. It always waits. For every generation of students, for every curious soul who dares to test their courage. Once inside, you are no longer a visitor. You are part of the class, and the roll call is eternal.